They called us fools for chasing frozen dreams, but we saw what they couldn't see.
Boston, 1812. The harbor is frozen solid. Nothing moves, except one sound. Somewhere near the waterfront, an iron door slams. The echo rolls through the Charles Street jail, down stone corridors, past cells where men stopped hoping months ago. And at the end of the hall, a man sits on a wooden bench, hands raw, coat torn, watching his breath freeze in front of his face. The guards call him the Ice King. They think it's hilarious. Rewind 6 years. Martinique, 1806. A 23-year-old Frederic Tudor stands on a Caribbean dock watching his dream dissolve. He'd shipped 130 tons of ice from a Massachusetts pond, his family's pond. The ice was free. All he had to do was get it to the tropics and sell it. Simple, right? Except puddles are spreading across the dock. Canvas bundles drip like wounded animals. The smell of wet sawdust hangs in the tropical air. He arrived with ice, but no one to buy it. No warehouse to store it. No plan for what happens after the ship docks. $4,500. Gone. His brother called it a wild and ruinous project. The newspapers called Tudor the Ice Fool. But here's what I don't get. Tudor didn't quit. He tried again. Havana, Jamaica, Charleston. More ice, more fate piling up, until the creditors finally caught up with him. The Ice King, dethroned by heat. Tudor didn't understand what he was really fighting. He thought he was in the ice business. He wasn't. He was fighting a war that humans have waged since we first walked out of Africa. A war against heat itself. And Tudor wasn't the first to lose. For 5,000 years, emperors and engineers and inventors had fought this same battle. Some won, most failed. To understand why Tudor ended up in that prison cell, we need to go back to where this war began. Egypt, 2,500 years before Christ. The Nile Delta, scorching heat that could kill a man by noon. And here's a servant standing over clay pots filled with water, fanning them, slowly, hour after hour. Strange thing, the water inside those pots is cooler than the air around it. No ice, no mountains nearby, just porous clay and moving air. The Egyptians had discovered something. When water seeps through clay and evaporates, it pulls heat with it. They couldn't explain the physics, but they knew it worked. China, 2100 BCE. The emperor employed 80 people, 80, whose only job was to harvest ice from frozen lakes in winter and store it underground for summer. A government department, 80 workers, just to keep the emperor's drinks cold. That's how valuable cold was. That's how hard it was to get. But here's where it gets really strange. Persia, 400 years before Christ. Deep in the desert, temperatures are above 100 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. And the Persians built 60-foot domed structures called yakchals that made ice. Not stored ice, they made ice. In the desert, with no snow, no mountains. But how? They understood something about heat that Tudor would pay dearly to learn. Heat doesn't just exist, it moves. It flows. And if you understand how it flows, you can control it. Different civilizations, different centuries, different methods. But every single one of them was trying to do the exact same thing. So here's the question. Egyptians fanning clay pots, Persians building ice domes in the desert, Chinese harvesting frozen lakes. What were they all really doing?
They were all doing the same thing, whether they knew it or not. They were removing heat from a space where it wasn't wanted. That's refrigeration. Refrigeration is the process of achieving or maintaining the temperature of a space or object below that of the surrounding area. And we do this by removing heat. Notice what refrigeration is not. It's not adding cold. Cold isn't a thing you can add. It's not something you create. Cold is what's left when you take heat away.
Wait, so cold doesn't actually exist?
Think of it like a shadow. A shadow isn't something you create. It's what remains when light is blocked. Cold works the same way. You don't make cold, you remove heat. What's left? That's cold. Mechanical refrigeration, the kind you'll be operating, is a series of steps that remove heat energy from a space or object where it's not wanted, and transfer that heat energy somewhere else, somewhere it won't cause problems.
So the Persians moved heat out of their yakhchals into the night sky. Tudor tried to keep heat out of his ice ships.
And you, as an ammonia refrigeration technician, you move heat out of cold rooms and freezers and release it into the outside air. Different tools, same war. So now we know what refrigeration is, but why do we do it? What's the actual purpose of a refrigeration system? The purpose of a refrigeration system is to achieve or maintain proper temperatures. That's it. That's the core purpose. Not to freeze food, not to cool buildings, not to preserve products. All of those are applications. The purpose, the foundation of everything you do, is maintaining temperature. And that's exactly where Tudor went wrong. He thought he was in the ice business. He was wrong. He was in the temperature business. He just didn't know it. If Tudor had understood that his job was to maintain a temperature, not just to move ice, he would have asked different questions, better questions. How fast is my ice warming up? How can I slow that down? What conditions do I need to maintain? Today's refrigeration systems are designed to achieve specific temperatures at specific locations. A freezer at -20 degrees, a cooler at 34 degrees, a process chiller at exactly 40 degrees. The equipment is more sophisticated than anything Tudor could have imagined, but the purpose hasn't changed in 5,000 years. Maintain the right temperature. Today, you don't haul ice from mountains. You don't build domes in the desert. You don't fan clay pots in the Egyptian heat. But you're still fighting the same war Tudor lost. You just have better weapons. As a refrigeration operator, your job is to keep these systems running safely and efficiently. That requires 3 areas of knowledge. First, basic physical principles. Understanding how heat moves, how pressure and temperature relate, why the system does what it does. Tudor failed because he didn't understand the principles. You won't make that mistake. Second, the ability to read and interpret information from temperature and pressure gauges. These are your windows into the system, your way of seeing what's happening inside the pipes and vessels you can't open up and look at. Third, basic operating principles. How to start equipment, how to stop it, what's normal, what's not, when to act and when to call for help. So here's the question every operator needs to answer. How do you know what's happening inside your refrigeration system? You can't see the ammonia flowing. you can't watch the heat move? The answer? You use your knowledge of basic operating principles to evaluate what the temperature and pressure readings are telling you. The gauges are the data. Your knowledge is what makes sense of it. Tudor would have killed for a single pressure gauge. You have dozens. The difference between a good operator and someone just pushing buttons is knowing what those gauges mean. That's what this course is about. Giving you the understanding to read those gauges and know what's really happening.
Back in that Boston prison cell, something was changing in Frederic Tudor. He wasn't broken. He was thinking. And for the first time, he was asking the right questions. Not, how do I sell more ice? But how do I keep it cold longer? How much ice can a ship's hold actually carry? How fast does ice melt at different temperatures? What materials slow the heat down? Tudor didn't have the physics, not yet, but sitting in that cell, staring at stone walls that held the cold better than any ship's hold ever had, he was starting to understand the war he was really fighting. Not the ice business, the heat business, the temperature business, the business of controlling what he couldn't see. And when he got out of that prison, he would approach it differently. He would measure, calculate, experiment. He would treat ice like an engineer treats a problem. The Ice King wasn't done. He was just getting started. Tudor would rise again. But first, he needed something every operator needs. Something that separates guessing from engineering. Measurement. How big is a ship's hold? How much ice actually fits inside? How fast does heat move through sawdust versus straw versus nothing at all? Without numbers, Tudor was just hoping. With numbers, he could plan. Next time, Tudor stops guessing and starts measuring, and he discovers the calculations that would turn the ice fool into an empire. Length, width, area, volume. The math that turns ice into money.
Me cold is the prize, built on men who wouldn't leave. We don't make cold, we steal the heat. We move what nature won't. We are the pioneers of cold. Through the failure, through the fire, we push past everything we knew. Pioneers of cold. The world runs on what we hold. We are the pioneers of cold.
Yeah, pioneers, get
Pioneers of
ready!
cold. Pioneers are cold.